Why did the Federal Reserve cut interest? Will we be seeing more interest cut? Maybe they're not financially powerful. What's your opinion for them?
What I'm thinking about the Asia market today, right? I don't think that it's bull market at this moment. Since you need to become the value investors, okay? You cannot follow the news to trade the stocks.
Along with the National Day, the longest holiday in China, the Chinese stock market, which had been dormant for many years, took off in a historical way, creating a number of new records, including the fastest trillion yuan transaction volume and a single-day transaction volume of Shanghai and Shenzhen stock market. Although China's stock market had faced severe fluctuations after the holiday, it is still in a relatively stable state after the repair period. 2 days before the recording of this debate, October 12th, China's Ministry of Finance once again held a press conference on economic development. At present, China's economy still faces some substantial problems. At the same time, ordinary people seem to lack sufficient understanding of how the economy works. How can ordinary people better manage their investments? How to better understand the current operating rules of the market? Where will China's economic policies focus in the future?
Hello everyone, welcome to this debate. And in this regard, we interview Mr. Li, a professor of managed practice at Leon Business School, for more interpretation. At the end of September, the biggest economic news, as we know that the U.S. Federal Reserve has raised this interest rate cut. My first question is why did the Federal Reserve cut interest? Will we be seeing more interest cut?
The Federal Reserve, the decision to cut the interest rates, I think that due to a few reasons as follows, right? First one is less inflation. Since 2022, the inflation rate went up to around 7%.
Yeah.
Now it's down to about 2.3%. I think that the main reasons which drive Federal Reserve to cut interest rates. The second is that the sluggish job markets, right? The labor market, because you look at the recent employment data, right, and the reports show the lower job creations, and with unemployment rate ticking up to around 4.2%. So that's why the enforcing the lead for the Federal Reserve to accommodate more loosening monetary policies. If you look at the PMI data of the manufacturing actually is below the 50, which is a kind of threshold for the expansion. And also I think that due to this reason, the Fed rate cut aims to prevent further deceleration by boosting the demand through this kind of the cheaper credit.
Based on your explanation, are we going to see a more cut in the interest in the coming future?
I think so, because 50 basis points actually surprised the market to the upside, right? Because the last time, based on our estimations, we estimate that the first cut should be happen in July. But now that they missed the window, they postponed to September. Yeah. We forecast there's 2 more cuts this year. November and December, so 25 basis points. So totally this year we are looking at maybe 100 basis point cuts. And next year our forecasting is more than Federal Reserve, because Federal Reserve, based on their estimations, is around 4 cuts. But the next year we forecast 5 cuts. 25 basis points. So totally is around 125 basis points cuts.
For domestic investors, some of them watch the news and they will kind of link the Federal Reserve cut to the rise in the stock market before the national holiday. Is it accurate to directly link the surge to the recent interest cut adjustment?
The Federal Reserve cuts, definitely they can benefit China monetary policies. There are some kind of linkage, but I don't think that this is a very strong linkage. Firstly, you look at the rate difference between U.S. and China. We call this is a rate disparity. The disparity is large previously, but when the U.S. cut rate by 50 basis points, that gave the China People's Bank of China the more room to cut the interest rates in China. Yeah. So this is shrinking disparity actually gave the China more power to play with the monetary policies without causing significant capital outflows or depreciation pressure on the renminbi. Second reason is that exchange rate impact. Because when the U.S. cut interest rate, you look at the renminbi exchange rate. Actually, and the last time I remember, before the cuts, actually the renminbi actually depreciated to around 7.2.
Yes.
But now that you look at it, it's 7.7, 7.8. Yes. While the renminbi is strengthening. When the renminbi appreciations and more capitals were inflow into the China because they have more confidence on the China economy prospects. So that's why we can see a lot of the capital inflows from overseas to China domestic market will boost the Asia stock market.
I think that's what the domestic investors more care about because they don't know that many economic knowledges to help them make the decisions. So can you put it in the simple way, how do the ordinary people manage their investment?
You look at the investors structure in China, it's different from US. 80% of investors in US is institutional investors. And in domestic market, Asian market, 80% are the individual investors. Individual investors, they don't have much knowledge. So that's why they always follow the trends and follow what they heard and to invest. So I can have 3 suggestions to individual investors in China. First one, you need to do the portfolio diversifications. So you don't need to put all of the eggs in one basket, right? So you don't always just put into the stocks. And normally then from the professional standpoint, you need to diversify your investments across different assets. For example, equities, right? The bonds or some kind of gold, whatever, and foreign currencies, whatever. So you need to use these diversification strategies to mitigate the risk. The second suggestion is you need to become the value investors. Okay, you cannot follow the news to trade the stocks. So what I suggest that you need to turn yourself into the value investors. How to turn into the value investors? You should look at the share or the companies you are buying and whether their financial performance can sustain their stock price, whether their strategies can help this company to move up their profits or some income, and also whether they are in the very good industry sectors which can be supported by the government policies. The third one, I was saying the last one, I was thinking that is financial literacy. You need to educate yourself and learn something about the investment.
That leads us to the second question, which is about the young generations. As we know that maybe they're not financially powerful and they don't have too much money to distribute it to, like you said, in real estate, in stock, in everything. What's your opinion for them?
Actually, this is not very unique in China. It's a global scenario and it's global phenomenon. And the younger generations go into the stock markets. You look at the US market. According to one of the surveys, about the 20% of the stock market participants in US are the younger generations, below the 35 years old. Actually, over 15 million US younger generation investors started trading for the first time in 2020 to 2022. But in China, right, similar trends are seen here. But the problem we have is that the younger generations that in China, they go to the stock market because the stock market is going up. Right?
It's just kind of
so normally
the trend,
the buying points actually is the higher points. Right? So that's why when the stock market is going down, all of them are losing money. So that's why actually then you look at the stock tradings, whatever, you should have pick the right entering points. I said, right, it's financial literacy, right? So they don't have much knowledge. Or is then they say the uptrend in the stock market, they think that they can make the easy and quick money. They just flock into the stock market.
Thinking about the quick money, so should the younger investors keep their money in the stock to maybe invest in more profitable or some promising companies, or should they just, as you say, make some quick money?
I give 2 suggestions to younger generations. Because if you don't have knowledge in selecting the companies, which company should be right target to invest, right? So what I suggest is you can buy into the ETF or the mutual funds, right? Because they help you to select the stocks which have a more promising prospects or some financial foundations which can support the company for the sustained growth. Second one is then still diversifications, right? Rather than equities market, rather than stocks, you can also look at the bonds or look at some fixed income products, look at the cash products.
Do you encourage them to save money or encourage them to invest more?
Okay, this is where it depends, right?
Okay.
Because save money, definitely you look at the interest rate in China is very, very low, less than 2%.
It's getting low now.
So you cannot catch up with the inflation rate. So what I suggest here is that you should have balance. You cannot put all of the money into the cash, into the savings. You can allocate a certain portion of your savings into the stock market or bond market.
Do you have like professional suggestion, like how many percentage?
This will depends. For this year, for the global market, global investors are suggesting that 50% to 60% put into the equities. And 20% put into the bonds, fixed income products. Around maybe 30% put into the cash and savings products.
We have to talk about the domestic investor, and this one comes to the foreign investors. As we know that the billionaire investor David Tabor had advised investors buy everything related to China's assets. And additionally, some overseas rating agencies have also raised their valuation for Chinese investment market. What do you think of this phenomenon?
I think that foreign investors, they are turning bullish because of the recent policies. I think that all the foreign investors, right, their viewpoints is changing according to the conditions. So what I'm thinking about the Asia market today, right, I don't think that it's bull market at this moment. It will not go up just like before National Day, right? It's going up day by day, right?
Yes.
It's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy, right? Yeah. So I was thinking that now it's going down and also be kind of volatility you can see in the stock market.
Yes.
So I think that the Asian market now is in the second phase of the tradings. The first phase is going up because of the emotions and impulse trading.
Fiscal policies, right?
Yeah, fiscal policies and monetary policies.
Yeah.
But now that they go back to the fundamentals. So I was saying that this is the second phase we're now in. What I'm thinking about, if you are looking at the foreign investors, if you want to do investment in China markets, so I will give you two suggestions. The first suggestion is you look at the sectors or companies which can benefit from the policies directly. Second one, you need to have an idea on the going forward policies, which kind of sectors and companies can be supported or can get more growth momentum. First one is high tech, right? High tech areas. So because then with China push for the self-reliance in the domestic critical technologies, right? So many of the local companies, high-tech companies will benefit from these policies.
Yes.
Second one is renewable energy and also the green tech, right? This is because of the carbon neutrality policies by 2060, right? Third one is healthcare because of the aging populations. Fourth one will be digital economies because now you look at the China GDP composition, around 38% of GDP contribution come from the digital economies.
Despite there are some recoveries in the economic situation, there are still some difficulties domestically to be faced. How should ordinary people view the stock market surges versus the actual economic perception? Because as we know right now, China is facing different kinds of issues right now, as you mentioned before, the aging population, the PMI, employment situation, and the income issues. Like, how should we address these potential issues that we're facing in the future?
刚刚我也说过，就说整个 A 股的表现的话，最后还是要回归这个经济的本质，就经济基本面的话，其实现在整个包括国外的投资者，包括全球都在关注中国最近出台的这个货币政策和财政政策，因为这个的话是解决现在中国所面临的核心的经济问题。当然，第一个中国现在核心经济问题就是房地产。最近的话就是上周六所出台的这个财政政策里面是可以用就是专项债。可以做一些土地储备啊，或者可以购买这个地方的这个存量商品房，所以就是解决房地产的一些市场。房地产包括上次的央行所提出的就是降低存量房地产利率等等，都是希望这个房地产能稳住。但是国家肯定是不希望把这个房地产价格再炒高，形成这个 bubble，而更多的来说是希望这个房地产能稳住，叫做托而不举。我们需要关注的就是房地产整个的在政策的助力下能不能出现一个上升的一个趋势。第二个呢就是制造业。 制造业的 PMI，大家可以看一下，其实来说，现在整个中国的 PMI 指数的话，服务业的 PMI 指数是在50以上，但制造业的话是在50以下，而且制造业的 PMI 指数已经是连续将近5个月下滑，所以呢，这是一个不是特别好的现象。其实服务业的振兴的话，更多的是我叫做需求端的振兴。而制造业基本上就是供给端，因为大家对经济没有什么信心的话，其实制造业它会减少库存、减少购买。所以呢，最重要的我们要看一下制造业在这次的一些这个国家的财政政策推出，包括这个稳经济稳这个市场和需求的话，是否制造业能加大自己的这个购买力，加大库存，加大对未来的投资，包括制造业的产能利用率能不能上来。所以呢，就这块的话，我觉得来说需要关注的就是制造业的 PMI 是否能形成一个拐点，而且拐头向上。第三个呢，我觉得大家看的就是 M1和 M2的这个货币指数。可能大家也不太熟悉，就说 M1其实我把它用个简单通俗语言叫做活钱，M2叫死钱。M2的话是其实比 M1差距是差在很多人会把钱放在定存或者银行理财。而现在我们中国的 M2量呢是差不多320多万亿，M1呢差不多是60万亿。所以你可以看一下这之间差距是将近多少？260万亿。就是说
，a lot of money in the bank。
对 ，in the bank。所以呢，260万亿在银行里面，现在没有拿出来消费和投资，这是巨大的一个存量市场。
为什么他们不去？
其实非常简单，你不管你做消费还是你做投资，你都需要有信心，对吧？你只有信心的保障的话，你才愿意把钱拿出来。如果来说你对这个整个的这个前景没有信心的话，你就愿意把它放在一个就是说我们叫做避雨的地方。
现在网上有很流行的一个说法叫资产负债表的衰退，是吧？
是，
就是我们会经历那种失去的30年那种说法嘛。
但是呢，我也不会这么悲观吧。但是我觉得来说，其实国家这2次的政策推出，就是鼓励大家把钱拿出来，不管你是投资还是消费，希望大家能把钱拿出来，真正把钱在市场上流通起来。钱只有在市场上流通起来，才会产生价值，增加流通性才能产生乘数效应，才能对经济有所刺激。如果钱永远在里面待着，就很麻烦。所以大家需要关注的就是 M1和 M2这个剪刀差是否有缩窄的迹象。
So this bring to maybe some ordinary people's life. They're concerning more about like the mortgages or the raising the household income or some even more easing policies that might be coming in the future from the Chinese government because as you mentioned before, they're China, whether it's society or stock market or the trading market, it's a policy-driven market. There are a lot of fiscal policies will coming out maybe in the future. So do you see this kind of easing, how to say, the trend of the easing policies that's going to come in the future?
我觉得还是会继续。就是这个宽松的环境还是会继续。刚刚我也提过，其实像美联储降息，其实现在全球都在降息的周期，除了日本以外，对。然后其实来说，这种降息的周期的话，就是向市场注入这种流动性，向市场注入这样的一个降低这种融资成本，然后鼓励企业多发展，鼓励大家多消费。所以呢，我觉得中国的话，我觉得像9月底的货币政策宽松政策推出和刚刚公布的财政的刺激政策推出，我觉得这是第一个阶段。后边的话还有很重磅的一些陆续的政策会推出来，因为我觉得来说，中国今年经济的 GDP 增长增速是5%的目标。所以呢，在要达成这个5%的目标的话，其实第4季度的任务是很艰巨的。也就是说，我们需要弥补第3季度的这个经济的下滑。这也是为什么国家是在9月底和10月初推出这些政策，它需要一个发酵的时间。我觉得来说，后续你会看到继续的宽松刺激政策会出台。
Can you be more specific on what kind of stimulus policy that might come in?
当然，我觉得来说，如果从货币政策来看的话，我觉得第一点的话，可能来说降准还会有空间，降息也是有空间的。但这个呢，要根据美联储的这个降息步伐。第二个呢，财政刺激的方向呢，第一个肯定还是要把房地产，不管是土地储备还是商品房现在的库存的话，我觉得都需要钱去消化掉。财政投的方向可能就是地方债。划地方债，这是中国现在非常头疼的一个问题。原来很多地方的话，政府都是天天想到化债问题。现在如果中央政府能转移支付，专项债能支持他们化解的话，那它可以腾出更多的手来发展经济和发展公司。所以我觉得这块其实对股市是一个间接的利好。第三个方面就是保就业。保民生，这个是非常关键的。就上周六的话，其实大家可以看一下，其实政策里面它其实没有太多的一些这个刺激消费端的一些政策。后续的话，包括促消费。保就业，其实我觉得就业是个非常关键的事情，因为就大家有了收入和保障的话，大家才会有信心去消费。所以我觉得后边的财政政策的话，还有一个重磅戏，就是大家看一下对民生这块是否有大量的保障。
I have a personal question that when US during the COVID they kind of just give the money to the other people for them to spend. Why can't China do that?
因为中国的话人口基数太大，对吧？你想给个1000块钱，14亿人口，你就想一下，这将近几万亿就出去了。第二个来说，我觉得刺激力度不太高。你假设每个人给1000块钱的消费券，人家能拿来干什么？对吧？就是相当于在这个物价水平上，其实小量的消费券其实对整个的这个刺激力度不是特别大。所以我觉得来说，在财政这边还是要精准投放。精准投放，就说我要以20%的投入撬动80%的杠杆，说28元令。所以我觉得来说的话，如果按照美国的推行的那一套，如果复制到中国，我觉得是可行性不高啊。我觉得大家不是说现在没钱消费，刚刚我说过 M2 有200多万亿，
我们的储蓄也很高，
就说大家不是没钱消费，而是大家是没信心消费。所以呢，我是觉得要解决信心问题。那信心问题在什么？就是在于就业，就业保障了，工资不会被下降，不会被裁员。那大家就有信心去消费，包括其实推动股市的上涨也是解决消费的问题。当股市上涨了，大家有钱了，所以你会看到这次国庆节的消费有所增长，比去年。期待说有股市的推动这部分的财富效应在里面，腰包要鼓了，大家才会有信心。所以我觉得最重要在消费端刺激，用消费券，我觉得意义不是特别大，而最佳的刺激力度还是在于大家的这个腰包，怎么让大家腰包鼓起来，就收入端。